Hello everyone, Phoenix or a playthrough here, and welcome back to Adventures in Cyrodiil, my ASMR playthrough of the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, which I shall be softly speaking with my commentary. And I do hope that those of you that watched the first episode, I'd like to say thank you to those of you that did. I do hope you enjoyed it, and we seem to have found Fort. What was that? I didn't quite get that there. We seem to have found Fort Chalman. So, of course, being an adventurer, Thairon, I believe I decided upon Thairon, didn't I? But he's quite interested in obviously being an adventurer and a treasure hunter. He's going to be quite interested in a fort. And it seems as though I've already got a number of hotkeys here, which I don't remember hotkeying beforehand. So I must have done that. Before I actually decided to make this character. But let's just have a look at the spells that Thairon currently has at his disposal. We have Dragon Skin, which gives us a 50% shield for 60 seconds, which is very handy. That's a Breton, I believe that's the Breton's power, because as you can see it takes no magicka whatsoever, so you can probably only use that once a day, which is a bit of a shame, but still very powerful. Could come in handy if we get stuck in a tricky situation, so I'm going to keep that as my top hotkey. No, actually, in fact, I'm going to make it that one, because we probably won't. No, actually, I will make it the top hotkey. We have Absorb Health on touch, which is a restoration magic spell, which we shall put there. We also have Flare, but as Thairon doesn't have destruction magic as a major skill, I'm not going to be using any destruction magic. He's going to rely upon the magic he already has, which is restoration, alteration, and conjuration. And he'll also rely upon his blunt weapons, so I'll be using those. We have Heal Minor Wounds, of course, which is what I've been using, and I'll make the major spells that I'll probably get a lot of use out of in the corners or the north, south, east, and west positions on the hotkey, because they're less tricky to basically switch to. We have Starlight here, which gives us light for 20 feet, though I probably won't be using that all that much. That's also an illusion. Illusion, apologies. I said alteration, but illusion is actually the other school of magic that Thairon is versed in, as it were. We also have a Summon Skeleton, which is obviously conjuration, which we'll be getting quite a lot of use out of. I can imagine will certainly help out in some fights. Should have really used that earlier. And we also have Turn Undead, which, to be honest, I've never really been quite sure what Turn Undead does. If I'm honest, I've never been too sure what that actually does. But is it? It's funny because I've played this game for so many years, and still a lot of the magic spells I'm not quite versed in because I've never really played a mage character in this game. But as you can see, we have a wolf, so we're going to summon our skeleton here to aid us in defeating him. Was made short work of that one, that's for sure. And since this wolf pelt can be sold for quite a nice amount of coin, I shall collect that. Come on, you follow me. Let us go into the fort. Hopefully there aren't too many enemies around here. Thairon's thinking to himself, because he's much prefer to collect lots of treasure and sell it. And there seems to be another skeleton. Now, since I summoned this skeleton, the other one has disappeared, of course, because you can only summon one at a time. I don't believe you can summon more than one, even when you reach a high level of conjuration. But I could be wrong. There are different rankings in the schools of magic, and if you can look here, all of my levels at the moment are apprentice. Eventually we'll get up to something like expert and master, and when you get up to those levels, each of your major skills has a certain ability that you can do. For instance, with blunt, for example, I believe you get an attack that basically causes whatever enemy you come across to be knocked to the ground for a couple of seconds. So that's quite handy. Please do excuse my clearing my throat there. It's quite a cold day. But hopefully a little bit of tea will work wonders. I do hope you don't mind me drinking some tea. I do apologise for that. If it irritates you, please do tell me, and I'll make sure to not drink as often in these videos. But doesn't seem to be much else up here. Only a couple of coins and some torches, which may come in handy, but since we have that light spell, I probably will be more focusing on using that if I need light, because that will get our illusion or Thairon's illusion skill up. So, and I've come up with a little bit of a backstory for him. Basically, he came to Cyrodiil from the Bretons' land, which I believe is High Rock. I could be wrong. I do apologise if I am. He came from where the Bretons live, basically in the majority, their homeland, and he wanted to come to Cyrodiil to find, because he imagined there'd be many treasures here, basically, and obviously, considering the Aelids, which are an ancient group of elves, used to live in Cyrodiil. Now they've now since become extinct. Which I believe that is the Elder Scrolls lore, that they are no longer around, but there could be the chance that they'll return. There's with the Elder Scrolls, anything is possible, and I've just realised I'm collecting alchemical ingredients, which I really don't need to. Perhaps I'll collect food, and we'll sort of have an eating regime for Thairon to sort of mimic eating, but I'm not quite sure if I will or not do that. If people want me to roleplay that deeply, please do tell me. I'd be more than happy to. Okay, so the thought seems to continue on that way, and oh, hello. So we have is that another hostile there? Is this person a hostile? They don't seem to be attacking me, so perhaps they aren't hostile. I'm not quite sure, but since there's another path here, I think I'm going to take this one first. Yep, it's a good thing I did, because there's a nice chest. Now, Thairon, obviously being a treasure hunter, I could have chosen lockpick. I didn't. I'm not quite sure if illusion. I believe alteration is actually the alteration is the magic skill that allows you to unopen locks, which might have been handy, but it doesn't mean that he can't unlock locks. It just means that he probably won't be all that good at it. But that's fine. That's fine. It would have been nice if they'd have incorporated a bash mechanic into this. There are a lot of mods for Oblivion and obviously Skyrim that allow you to bash the locked locks of treasure chests with your weapon, and let you open it that way. Of course, it depends upon your skill with whatever a weapon class. Like mace is a blunt class, so I believe it also depends on your strength, which I hope they bring into the next Elder Scrolls, because that would be quite an interesting mechanic to have, especially for people that don't like to lockpick and aren't really thief-esque characters, because it's always been frustrating, more so I guess in Oblivion than Skyrim, though in Skyrim it can be quite frustrating at times, to come across a lock, like a master lock for instance, that obviously in Oblivion you cannot unlock, because that's a nice axe, by the way. Very, very, very chuffed with finding that. Nice steel war axe. Do some good amounts of damage with that. It's technically the same as the mace, but I believe the axe is. I'm not quite sure this mechanic is in the game, but I believe axes swing faster. I could be wrong. I believe this is an enemy. Oh, this is an adventurer. Hello there.
Are you seeking treasure as well? Gortwald demands
believe it or not,
riches,
I am.
so all of Tamriel will respect Orsinium. So we search the lands and bring home whatever we find. This makes Gortwald happy.
That's somewhat similar to what I'm doing, actually.
For Gortwald waits. May you find all that you seek, traveler.
Well, thank you. I very much appreciate it. I've never actually come across this NPC before. I've never come across an adventurer in a fort. That was certainly something quite different, and still to this 6 years on, still to this day, Oblivion throws up things that I've never seen before. I just love that about the game. So we have a ghost here, which we're not going to be able to attack with our weapon, sadly. I'm going to try and get his attention with my skeleton, but as you can see, I don't do any damage with my axe, so I'm going to use this absorb life on touch, which is incredibly effective. I've never used this spell before, but I really like it. That's wow, I've never used that spell before. Absorb 5 points on touch. So in a way, that's a bit of a, obviously, if I'm low on health and I have someone fighting me, I can absorb their health, so it's almost like a vampire sort of spell-ish. I'm actually going to take that bone meal because I didn't realise how much I could sell that for. Perhaps Thairon knows that alchemical ingredients can fetch quite a nice price. Very easy chest, so we've only got one lockpick, so I have to be careful with that. I didn't realise we only had the one, but shouldn't pose much of a problem. There are a couple chests here, however. Any of these locked? Nope. Is that a brass ring? That's definitely not too bad loot. And we also have a couple of potions, which is quite nice. And that seems to be the fort completely empty. Well, perhaps that orc adventurer has already been through and sort of picked clean the choice morsels, as it were. Which,
Hail, fellow adventurer.
Hail. Good on you for getting here first, I guess. I most certainly can't complain that you beat me. Hopefully he found some good treasure. Although it does surprise me that he left the gold coins there, but maybe he had reasons for doing so. Perhaps that's not what he's looking for. He said he was looking for treasures to bring back to Orsmir. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Orsma or Orsma. That's basically the land where the orcs hail from or live. Not quite sure how to pronounce that. I've never really been too fond of playing orcs in the Elder Scrolls game, if I'm honest. I've played an orc in Skyrim. It's a little bit more enjoyable than in Oblivion for me. Mostly because I like to use the hand-to-hand combat, which I think quite irritated me about Skyrim was the fact that they removed the hand-to-hand combat skill. Instead, you've just got one-handed and two-handed, but there's no hand-to-hand. And frankly, hand-to-hand can be quite a challenge and quite fun to do. So I'm not quite sure why they removed it. Of course, Khajiit do have 10 extra unarmed damage with their claws, and there's also a pair of gloves that you can, a pair of enchanted gloves that you can take that increase your hand-to-hand attack damage or unarmed skill, which you can obviously disenchant and enchant other pieces of armor with that to make it even stronger. And there's also a heavy armor skill that increases your unarmed damage, but other than those three, you can't really upgrade your unarmed skill any further, which kind of irritated me because I quite like using unarmed sometimes. It can be quite fun and, as I said, challenging. So the fact that they got rid of it, and I know that I didn't use it all that much in Oblivion. I still don't use unarmed all that much in Oblivion, to be honest, but I'm sure eventually I will, to give myself a bit of a challenge. And we've come across the Roxy Inn here. some doeskin shoes. Have we got any shoes on? I'm not quite sure. We do. We do have some leather boots on, which actually provide some protection, so we won't swap that up for the doeskins. But what's the time? It's 8 o'clock at night, so perhaps Thairon's going to turn in for the night. And we have an Imperial Legion soldier. Hello there, sir. Let's ask for some rumours. Is anything you can tell us?
If you've got to travel, by the 9 divines, stay on the roads. The wilderness just isn't safe anymore. We've had sightings, you see. The Daedra.
The Daedra? Oh, okay. Well, Thairon has heard of the Daedra. It's a little bit unsettling to know that there's some Daedra roaming about in Cyrodiil, but hopefully he will prove quite a match for them.
Welcome.
Hello
Please
there.
don't be shy.
Claude Marek.
What can I do
Hello
for you?
there. Do you know of any rumours? Anything happening in the land?
When you visit a way shrine of Zenithar and you've lived a good life by the 9, you may receive a blessing of luck.
That oh, thank you. That is quite interesting. Luck is certainly something Thairon is looking for, because obviously as a treasure hunter it's all down to luck most times.
But to put it bluntly, Raylan the Gravefinder must die.
Who is Raylan the Gravefinder exactly?
A few months ago, that witch of a necromancer decided to inhabit Moss
Oh,
Rock
necromancer,
Tavern
that
just north of my
that certainly
inn.
does spell
I
trouble.
don't know what she does in there. Frankly, I don't want to know. However, I do know that after she arrived, the woods at night became unsafe. I've seen undead of all types walking in the dark
That
woods near
doesn't
the
sound
cave entrance.
too good for
Now,
business,
this
having
area's getting a bad
undead walk around the
reputation, and
inn.
my business has waned.
Certainly would
Every day it seems the
stop
number
you
of
sleeping.
undead increase. If someone can get into the cave and kill Raylan, maybe we can stem the tide. Her death pays a handsome bounty. I
Oh,
hope you'll
well,
take advantage of the opportunity.
that the sound of a bounty has certainly pricked up Thairon's ears, because obviously he's a treasure hunter and an adventurer, but he most certainly will coin is coin, so he most certainly will take up the challenge.
Well, have a look around. You
And
won't find
I
better
do
prices
apologise
in
for
all town.
earlier. I didn't actually continue what I was saying.
The Fighters Guild is
We certainly will go and find this Raylan for you. Maylene, I believe your name was, even though you didn't tell us, but and we'll go and see her off, as it were. So a few books here, but we're not going to read them because, unlike Skyrim, I believe even if you read those books, it counts as stealing, and all of the NPCs getting a bit of a tizzy. So we don't particularly want that, do we? So, but I do apologise. I hadn't finished. Where is this cave? We'll say that Maylene gave us directions towards the cave. Of course, it wouldn't be too far anyway, considering Maylene said that you can hear the undead at night walking around the forest, although this area is quite well, the forest isn't exactly all that dense, so it's not really a proper forest in my opinion. But anyway, as I was saying, I do apologise for not continuing on about Thairon's background. I do apologise. Mucking up my words. But basically, he came from the land of the Bretons, obviously being an adventurer and a treasure hunter. He made his way over to Cyrodiil because he had heard of the Aliads and all of the other sort of races that had been in this land, and he imagined that the Aliads, being an ancient race of elves, there's probably quite a lot of treasure to be had hidden in the land of Cyrodiil. And he found a ship at High Rock at the docks, and they were offering transport towards Cyrodiil for quite a good price, a price that Thairon certainly wasn't expecting to get. And so he took it because he thought he was on a lucky streak. Of course, sadly for him, it turned out that the people upon the ship were like pirate bandits, and they tricked him, and he basically ended up finding himself thrown into the sewers and locked within there with nothing but obviously all of that useless gear that he had brought along with him. At least what the bandits had thought was useless, they left it on the floor and locked him in the sewers with no armour on and just his undergarments, and he had to trek through the sewers to find the key, which they had thrown into the flowing water, and sadly the key was light enough to be dragged away with it, but he luckily managed to find it, and that's basically how he ended up in the sewer. He was tricked by bandits, and this certainly doesn't look like a friendly person, so we are going to attack them. Looks like a necromancer. Perhaps this is one of Raylan's subordinates, perhaps, but certainly no match for Thairon's skills there. And I'm definitely liking this absorb health spell. This is definitely something I'm going to keep using quite often, because not only does it take away a good chunk of health quite quickly, but it's also replenishing Thairon's health at the same time. So it's a very sort of double positive spell. And I'll keep switching and conjuring my skeleton as well, because as you can see back there, he sort of acted as a oh, that's a hard lock. I don't think we're going to be able to unlock that right now, especially with one lockpick. There's not much point attempting that, but my skeleton sort of acted as a distraction. So, oh, this seems to be an enemy skeleton. I don't know where on earth you came from, but no matter. Extra bows, extra arrows. Not going to complain about that. Don't really need the iron bow though. We've already got one bow, and I hadn't actually thought about hotkeying a couple of weapons here. So I think I'll do that. I have my axe there and my bow there, and maybe we should test out using the bow. So we seem to have another enemy here. And this one seems to be just as unfriendly as the last. We'll quickly switch to axe and shield. Not quite sure who. He seems to be too focused on my skeleton at the moment, so that was quite close. I thought he was actually going to get a hit on me there, but luckily he didn't. Shield on self. That's quite a good garment right there. I'm not quite sure if Thairon is one for robes. Obviously he travels light with light armour, because being a treasure hunter adventurer, you don't want to be weighed down by heavy armours when you have to carry a lot of treasure. It seems as though my skeleton has found something of interest, because he ran in this direction for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but I think his time has definitely run out. So it's goodbye to that skeleton. Goodbye, Skeletone. Okay then. Well, this oh, we have some rats. I think I'm not going to summon the skeleton. I'm just going to absorb the health of these rats. Get my restoration skill up a little bit higher. What do we have in here? Seems like this cave goes on for quite a while, but it looks as though I've reached my episode limit. I hope all of you don't mind, but I'm currently trying to stick between 20 and 25 minutes to perhaps 30 minutes. If people do want longer episodes, please do tell me. Obviously it's just a little bit more, trying to think of the word, it's just a little bit more easier basically to upload, because the 25 to 20 minutes is a smaller file, which means it doesn't take as long to upload. But I'd be more than happy to do longer episodes if people would enjoy that, but unless someone says so, I'll be sticking to 20 to 25 minutes. So I'd like to thank you all for watching this episode 2 of my ASMR playthrough of Oblivion, and I look forward to seeing you in episode 3. So until then, take care everybody. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a